students. So we are starting off our week and our Monday with fractions. So this is very fun because we are no longer doing repetitive division, multiplication, and we can get on to things that are a little bit more interesting and fun. But for today, we are starting off with just something very basic. So I'm sure you will find that this page is very easy. However, it progresses quickly and it becomes more challenging very quickly. So it is important to understand everything that we're doing today before we move on to the harder stuff. So you're going to begin by doing some review exercises. It's just to warm up your brain and go back to what we learned last week, and just make sure that we always have our brain warmed up to division, multiplication, and of course your speed drill. So when we get down here, some of you may have done a little bit of fractions already, and that is really cool, but we have to do the basic stuff again. So for our directions, it says a fraction is a number that names a part of a whole or a group. So the first thing that we're learning today is that fraction means a part of a whole. So it means one piece of something, one part of something. So we're starting learning that by looking at these shapes and which parts of them are filled. So it says to write a fraction for each shaded figure. So the first thing I want you guys to do when it comes to answering all of these questions is to just note how many sections there are, whether or not they're shaded. So what I like to do is I like to go into the answer column and first write down the complete number. So let's do the first samples together. I'm going to use a Post-it because there isn't a lot of room to put the answers to the samples. But of course you can use an extra piece of paper or just write really small because you're not going to need too much scrap paper for this. So we have our two samples, sample 1 and sample 2. And the first thing you're going to do is put a line because that's going to divide your fraction. And for sample 1, let's count how many pieces there are in total. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put 4 on the bottom because that's how many pieces we have. Then you're going to find out how many pieces are shaded. 1. So we put the 1 on top. 1 out of 4, 1/4. That means that 1/4 of this circle is shaded. And that is how you simply write a fraction. For our second sample, again, we're going to count how many pieces to the whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we would write 6 on the bottom. And now we will count how many pieces are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 6, or 5/6, is how you would say it. And we again have written down a very simple fraction. And you're going to do this with all of them. Count how many pieces there are in total, write it on the bottom, and then how many pieces are shaded, write it on the top. And just to note, I'm sure you guys know this, or many of you have learned this, but just to note, the top number is called a numerator. The bottom number is called a denominator. And this is very important because as we move along to much more challenging fractions, it's going to ask us whether or not we need to change the denominator, add or subtract the numerator. So it's important we remember that. And you may even write yourself a little note, although it does say it up here. But it's always important to just reinforce what we learn. So let me know if you have any questions today at 11, but it looks like this page is going to be pretty easy. And here for our language arts assignment for Monday, we're on page 38. And we are just continuing on from our lesson from Friday. So here we started learning about plural nouns and practicing. And this page today, page 38, isn't anything new. We're going on to Think E. So we're just continuing to practice our plurals, and it says to write the correct plural of the noun in the parentheses. So as you read these sentences, you're going to focus more on the word in parentheses next to it. And just write the plural, more than one. So for number one, for example, we have the word child. So first we have to figure out, what do we call more than one child? So just as practice, we can say that we know that more than one child is children. So you're going to put children in the blank. And that's what you're going to do for all of them. Let's do number two as a little bit of extra practice. Here we have sheep. How do you say more than one sheep? Well, it actually stays as sheep. So you would write sheep here. So the first one would be children, obey your parents in the Lord. 2 would say, do you ever count sheep to fall asleep? So just take the word in parentheses, make it plural, and put it in the blank. Here on the bottom, we have a little crossword puzzle. So as I was taking a look at this before doing this lesson, I noticed that actually some of them can be a little tricky. However, if you think of the first word that comes to mind when you read these clues, it's usually that word. So, for example, it says number 1 on a ruler. So what is the first thing you think of when you think of things on a ruler? For me, I thought of inches, and it just so happens that inches is the word that fits in this box. But as I was going through these, I did notice that not all of them are super simple. So what I want you to do is fill in the ones as best you can, and then we can discuss them, or you can send me a message if you're really having trouble figuring out what keyword goes with these clues, because it doesn't really give you a list. If I need to, I will give you a word bank, but let's see how good you guys are at this. Then when you're all done, it will form a hidden message here, which is actually a word that we have been studying for language arts. So do the best you can, and you may notice that it fills in the word anyway. But we can talk about it today or tomorrow over Zoom, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Here we have our spelling assignment for Monday. We're starting a new list, brand new list, which is always fun, and in my opinion, better than doing the lessons that have a lot of lists. So we're going to start reading our pattern, content, and vocabulary words before I guide you onto page 25. So our pattern words for the week are typist, purify, crystal, physics, canyon, recycle, rhyming, systems, mystery, symptom, gymnasium, youthfulness. Content words are seedling, embryo, dormant, adequate, favorable, germinate, absorption. And our vocabulary words are progress, regression, reporting, and transport. So definitely go back if you missed how to pronounce a word and you need to know how. You can go back to this video, or of course we can discuss it online. So for this activity, you're going to sort out the pattern words that have Y, and it looks like all of the pattern words have Y, so you're sorting them by how they sound. So for numbers 1 and 2, you're going to find the words that have Y with the consonant sound. So y, that is a consonant sound of the letter Y. you're going to find the two words that use the word Y but with the Y sound. And I will give you a sample. For number 3, you're going to find the Y sound with a long E sound. So what does a long E sound like? It sounds like E. So the word that has Y sounding like E will go on number 3. For 4 through 7, we have Y with the long I sound. I. So words that have an I sound. And 8 through 13, there's a lot. Y with the short I sound. So I. For number 1 through 2, we're going to do number 1 just as an example. Y with the consonant sound. Y, y. If we look over here and we were to go down our list, canyon, y, canyon has the Y in a consonant sound. So we would write canyon here. And then all you have to do is find one more with the consonant sound, with a Y sound. And of course, it doesn't have to be at the beginning or the end of a word. The best advice is to read the words out loud and then sort them. For content word exercise on the bottom of our page, we're just completing our sentences as we always do at the beginning of a new list. So you're going to use the clues to fill in the words from this list here as usual. And most of them are easy, except we do have 2 A words here. We have adequate and we have absorption. So it's important to go to the back of the book and find out what the meanings are so that we can accurately complete these A words. So although they have clues, I still encourage you to read the sentences out loud after you fill them in, because it's going to help you better understand what the word means. So although it is obvious that this E is going to be embryo, because that is the only E word, it is still hard to know what embryo means if you don't look it up or you don't at least know how it fits in a sentence. So although you know them, definitely read them out loud to get a better understanding. And just a little reminder that today we are starting chapter 8 and we will have a read along. So join me at 11 for chapter 8, and we again are doing 3 chapters this week, which is cool. That means we are going to be finishing up with our books soon and can do other fun things. So if you can't join me, I will upload it, of course, but I would love to have you.